So what is the number one thing that you think is great about Whistling Straits?
I mean, you're just staring at Lake Michigan all day.
That's the main one?
I mean, it's incredible. If you haven't been out there, I mean, it's just like, it's hard to have a bad day when you're just like walking, looking at a giant body of water on a beautiful day. The clubhouse sits back from the lake. And that's where 18 ends and 1 tees off, just like any traditional course. So 10, 18, and 1 and 9 go out to the coast and back from the coast. And everything else there is oriented in a figure 8. On the south side, you got the front 9. On the north side, you got the back 9. And each is a figure 8. So what it does is you play above the holes that are along the coast, but then you cross over at a par 3, which is the third hole. And then you get on the coast for 4. 5 winds back, and then 6 plays above the coast, and then 7, another par 3, gets you back on the coast. And that's that crossing point of the figure 8. It creates these gathering points, which, Ryder Cups are a zoo. It's really hard to get around. You kind of have to pick your spot. There are 2 gathering points right at the cross sections of these figure 8s, where it's the 6th green, the 2nd green, the 3rd green, and the 7th green are all in the same spot. There's a grandstand. I was thinking the best spot might be up in the top of that grandstand because you'd be able to see everything from there.
There's an interesting comparison to the Kiowa routing.
Yes. I was thinking about that while I was out there.
Because Kiowa is 2 loops. And so there are sequences of holes that all run along the beach, and they're kind of all on one side. At Whistling Straits, the lakefront holes are distributed out across the 9s in different ways. And so you visit the lakefront at different points during the 9 instead of visiting it all at once.
And the par 3s all play along the coast.
So does that mean that they're sort of repetitive? Or are there ways that Dye managed to distinguish them from each other?
Yeah, so 2 play in one direction, 2 play in the other direction. 2 play south, 2 play north. They're all relatively flat. None of them play significantly uphill or downhill, but they all have unique green complexes and green surrounds. The first par 3 you encounter is the 3rd hole. The 3rd has a really beautiful, wavy green that has contours that kind of cut in on diagonals throughout the green, which create a lot of very cool pin positions, and it opens from right to left. Going back, the 7th, a little bit longer of a par 3 that is benched right. I mean, it's so intimidating right along the lake. And that one opens from left to right. And then you go to the back 9. 12 is a wild green. Probably my favorite hole on the golf course, and it's mainly because of the green. It's a green that I haven't ever seen a green like it. It kind of snakes along these bunkers. So you have a front left side, and then it kind of runs on a diagonal and then goes serpentines all the way back to a back little pin that's sits out on the peninsula. And they better put the pin there, is all I'm going to say. I'm going to be extremely disappointed if there's not a pin back there.
Have you told me about 17?
Oh, last one. So you get a gettable par 5, 16. Then 17 and 18 are complete bears. It's about 220, 230 from the back. It's a really tough shot to hit. I mean, most people are just going to be aiming for the middle of the green, trying to hit the green.
So we've talked about the par 3s. What are some other holes that you think people should watch out for?
This is a rarity. Pete Dye was not a big drivable par 4 guy.
But we do see a couple of instances of short par 4s at Whistling Straits.
Yeah, the predominant drivable par 4 is the 6. It's a really cool hole because of the green. The green has 2 very distinct sections. It's almost like a pair of glasses, right? With your right and left eye, and then there's a bunker that cuts in and is your nose piece of your glasses. The left side's very inviting, has kind of a slope that kicks things in there, that is a very inviting pin to go for the green. Things get a little bit more difficult when the pin's over on the right side because there's no option, there's no way you could carry it there and have it stop. The question is, will these guys prefer hitting that bunker shot from just right around the green, or are they going to lay up back into the layup area and hit a wedge, because it's a really small target. Like, it's not necessarily an easy wedge shot.
So one of the things that really stands out about this course is the shaping style. There's a lot of really bold shaping out there. There are many, many, many bunkers. What are some of your thoughts about the style of shaping that was used at this course?
I mean, you can clearly tell that the attempt here was to create Ireland golf in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Kohler was specific about that. He said to Pete Dye, "I want this to look like Ballabunion." I don't know if this looks anything like Ballabunion, but that was certainly the intention, to create a Irish dunes look at this course.
There's some of that. I think it's a little sharp for that. It doesn't look natural because of how sharp some of the lines are. That being said, I do sympathize slightly, because especially with the drone, you're flying around, you can see the land right next door, and you can see just how flat it is. I mean, there's nothing. There was nothing. So, he went from nothing to what it is, and that's a remarkable feat of engineering. I would say it's overdone in a lot of places, over the top in a lot of places, but as somebody who grew up in the Midwest, going to Lake Michigan, it's unlike anything else you've seen. There is something about the feel of departing. There's obviously sense of place, but there is also a form of art of departing the world as you know it and going to a different place. This is not the Sheboygan, Wisconsin coast. It's not that. It's a make-believe place. You go back and forth with it. My biggest issue with it centers around the way the golf course is presented, given what the intention and the vision for the golf course was. It's overwatered. The fairway widths are a joke.
You can imagine that Pete Dye would prefer this course to play faster than it does.
It plays very slow. And that's the complete opposite of the way it should play if it wants to be an Irish links course. And I think that's one of the things. It's a resort, so that's the way it's maintained, which isn't necessarily right or wrong. Like Banded Dunes is a resort, and it's maintained one way, and Whistling Straits is a very different resort, and it's maintained this way. Most people will only play Whistling Straits once in their life if they get there. That's the reality. And one of the things that it does is it will give you a lasting memory, no matter who you are, no matter how many golf courses you've seen. The place will make you feel something.